Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gents. Welcome back to DONZO's. So we're back with part 2 on the snare drum. And I promised you we'd have a Dave Weckl snare drum. We have that right here. Dave Weckl signature snare drum. This is an 8 lug. This is a dual throw off. This particular drum has 2 throw offs on this thing. Get you a little look at that. This particular drum here has dual snares in the bottom of this drum. So you can adjust this thing 4 different ways. Here's the throw offs. You got dual throw offs, and you have adjustable knobs on both sides of this drum. So you can tune the tension on both sides. And here's the other side. Has knobs where you can tune the tension. What's really neat about this drum is you can tune one side of the snare wires. You can tune one a little loose, a little funky, if you like, if your preference. And then you can tune the other one, a little tighter, so it gives you like best of both worlds. And a lot of drums don't offer that. With this particular drum does offer that, to where you could do one a little looser and one a little tighter, and it's kind of neat. So this is an 8 lug, and this is a aluminum drum, and it's a Dave Weckl signature. I think it's a late 80s, early 90s. I'm not real positive exactly on the year. I'd have to do a little bit more research on it, but this is a really nice drum. And in the center here we have a DW. This here is a Jazz Series snare drum. I think this was made in 2011, this particular drum. Now this drum here was actually shot in the video with Peter Urquhart in the Jazz Series. And I bought this from a guy on Reverb that owned the whole entire set, so I have the complete set, the bop kit, which is 14 by 18 bass, 8 by 12, 14 by 14, and this matching snare drum. Now this particular snare drum, this is a 10 lug, and it's maple gum maple. And basically it's a copy from the old Gretsch drums, which were really famous for the jazz, so that's why they try to make these sound like the old Gretsch. And that's why it's a Jazz Series. It's a 3-ply shell. And I think this is one of the better ply shells that DW offers. I'm very proud to own this set. Pretty color. And then we have over here, this is a John J.R. Robinson. This is a really neat custom snare drum as well. This is actually a custom snare drum. Even on the badge it says it's a custom snare drum. And what makes this drum different and unique from a lot of drums is on the bevel edge of this drum, it has 20 copper nails hammered into the bevel edge, which gives it a completely different sound because of the copper. Makes it sound more brighter, and when you hear it, you'll see it's a really nice drum. And this one has dual adjustables as well. You have your adjustable over here on this butt, and you have adjustable here. But you can't see the copper nails, but I have a coated head, of course. But it does have copper nails hammered into the bevel edge. And this is a really neat drum as well. So this drum's made out of birch, actually. So we have birch, maple gum maple, and then we have aluminum, which is a Dave Weckl. So you have 3 different sound snare drums here, and you're going to really like the 3 different sounds here. Really neat. So let's start with the Birch snare drum. Took all the snare wires off like I did the other part 1. And you can hear the drum, the tone, the edge. Here's the DW maple gum maple. Weckl. So you got 3 different sounds. let you hear these. This is a dual. This is really cool. It's got dual snare wires on this particular snare drum. So we're going to start over here with the John J. Robinson. Like I said, this is a Birch snare drum with 20 copper nails hammered into the bevel edge. Now this snare drum is really bright. It's nice drum. Give you a little. In my part one, I didn't do any rim shots, which I'm going to give you rim shots in the part two, but you hear the rim shots as well. But this is a very nice drum. We're going to move over to the Jazz Series drum. This is a maple, gum, maple. It's maple on the outer ply, gum in the middle, and maple on the inner. A little rim shot. Now, we're going to move over to the Dave Weckl snare drum. This is an 8-lug, dual strainer. Very nice drum. Real snappy, poppy cuts. Real loud drum. It has to be loud. Dave Weckl with his band, you know what I mean? He's got to cut through, so Mike's is not just going to cut it alone. He's going to need a nice cutting drum, and this is a very nice drum. Listen to that. The three sounds. Very nice drums. So, give me your opinion about these three drums and which one you liked. Had some comments on the other ones. And some people like the Buddy Rich, some people like the John Bottom. Really haven't heard too much about the Radio King of Slingerland. I like them all. Like I said, I like all three of these drums. I like all my snare drums I have. I wouldn't have them if I didn't like them. You just all have a unique sound. They're all different. And proud to own them. And another little thing I wanted to talk about, I didn't really mention in my last part one, is about how much tension that I apply on these drum heads. Maybe some people might be interested in, you know, whether if it's a quarter turn or a whole turn or a whole and a quarter or, you know, full 2 turns. And usually the top is usually at least a good full turn. So when I have a drum key on there, I'm going to do a complete full at least, sometimes a little bit more on the top. Usually the bottoms, I usually tune them anywhere from 3/4 turn to maybe a whole turn. But it all depends on the drum. You know, some drums seat different than other drums, and that's what I was saying, that they all have their own different characteristics. And, you know, they all have their boundaries. And what I mean by that is when you tighten these, you know, lugs up, sometimes lugs are different, some rims are different. You know, die cast is definitely different than a regular standard hoop. It's more focused, and so sometimes you get a little less on the die cast because it's, you know, pulling down and it's focused. And there's just different rims and, you know, different tuning methods. Like I said, everybody has their own way of tuning their drums. I'm just giving a little information how I like to tune them, and maybe somebody else might like the way and experiment, you know, a little differently. And I think it's a good thing for everybody to experiment on up and down tuning on their snare drums. It's very important because you can learn a lot just by playing with it, regardless of what anybody says. Just, you know, take time out to maybe take an hour, you know, and just go up and down with the tunings, the bottom and the top end, and find the sweet spots, you know, where you really enjoy the rebound of the head as well. You know, some people like more rebound, some people like less. You know, Buddy Rich, you know, Dennis Chambers, you know, they played on pillows, you know, because they don't believe in practice pads. The rebound it's artificial. It's kind of fake. That's why I don't use practice pads myself. I use pillows, or I just use the drum itself. I don't like practice pads because I think the rebound is completely different than what you truly get from a drum. So I don't even use practice pads, to be honest with you. So that's another little, a little information that I wanted to give people out there. That I think pillows is definitely one of the way to go is to be a quicker drummer. Your buddy Rich swore by it, and so does Dennis Chambers, and both of those guys are great drummers. And there's plenty more that swear by pillows, and a lot of marching drummers that do a lot of rudiments, they work with pillows because it helps their their rebound. So I think it's a good tip for part 2. I think people should take time, maybe try pillows instead of practice pads, because practice pads, in my opinion, I see a lot of these videos construction with the one hand, Buddy Rich, and all this, and they're using a practice pad and they're using a rebound with a rubber pad, and it actually is a little bit benefit in their favor in a way, because it's a rubber pad, and it's completely different when you're playing on a head or a pillow, or more of a different rebound. Try that once. Try to do a rudimental roll on a pillow. It's really hard. But that's just a little inside information. I'm sure a lot of people know about already, but there might be some young kids out there that don't know about that, and share with the world. I don't mind sharing some of my things that I learned from other influenced drummers that I learned from. There's a lot of great drummers out there, and I think that some of these young kids, would like to know some information that they didn't know. Maybe they didn't read it in a book or didn't know about it. And but let's get one more sound check so you guys can really hear these drums one more time, and give me your opinion. Which one do you like? Whether it's the Dave Weckl, the Jazz Series DW drum, or the John J. Robinson White Marine Pearl with the 20 copper nails. I mean, they're very nice drums, all three of these drums. So let's give a little more test here. Give me your opinion. See you on part 3. DONZO.